Hello everyone, welcome to our meetings assistance for Jehovah's Witnesses. I hope you all are doing well. In this video, we are going to prepare for the book study, Complete Testimony, for the week of March 24th to 30th. And this week we will study chapter 24, paragraphs 7 to 12 and the box. Questions 7 and 8. What measures did Lysias take to prevent Paul from being killed? Lysias took the measure of sending Paul under heavy guard to Caesarea to prevent him from being killed. He ordered 470 soldiers, including spearmen and horsemen, to accompany him that very night to ensure his safety and take him to the safest city, Caesarea, which was the headquarters of the Roman government. Lysias sent a letter to Governor Felix explaining Paul's case. In the letter, he mentioned that, after discovering that Paul was a Roman citizen and that the Jews were planning to kill him, he decided to send him to Caesarea so Felix could hear from the accusers and make a decision. Additionally, he clarified that he did not consider Paul guilty of any offense that deserved death or imprisonment. Additional comments. Lysias shows a sense of responsibility by sending Paul under heavy guard, prioritizing his safety and seeking a solution within the framework of Roman law. By transferring him to Caesarea, he ensures that the case is handled by the competent authorities, avoiding unilateral decisions. This act reflects the importance Roman law placed on protecting Roman citizens, as highlighted in Acts 22:25, where Paul's Roman citizenship is seen as a crucial factor in the decision. The letter Lysias sent to Felix is a clear example of transparency in administering justice. By explaining the reasons for his actions, Lysias not only defends Paul but also ensures that Felix has all the information needed to make an informed decision. This approach reflects the value of proper communication in the judicial process, as seen in Acts 23:29, where it is emphasized that Lysias found no crime in Paul deserving of punishment. Question 9, Part A. How did Lysias violate Paul's civil rights? Lysias violated Paul's civil rights by ordering him to be bound with 2 chains and then commanding that he be interrogated with scourging, which was illegal under Roman law, especially for a Roman citizen like Paul. According to Roman law, a Roman citizen could not be scourged or subjected to torture without a formal trial. Additional comments. Roman citizenship granted a series of rights and protections, including immunity from being scourged without a formal trial. By invoking his citizenship, Paul was claiming his legal right to fair treatment and the protection of his personal integrity before the authorities. This abuse affected Paul, causing him both physical and emotional suffering. It also placed him in a vulnerable situation, as he was subjected to cruel treatment without having been convicted in a formal trial. This highlights the importance of protecting civil rights against abuses of power. Question 9, Part B. Why might we sometimes need to resort to our rights as citizens of a given country? We may sometimes need to resort to our rights as citizens to seek legal protection when facing situations of abuse, discrimination, or persecution. Our civil rights are an important tool for defending ourselves and ensuring that our fundamental freedoms are respected, just as Paul did when he invoked his Roman citizenship to protect himself from unjust treatment. Additional comments. Civil rights act as a safeguard against injustices because they allow us to access legal mechanisms to have our complaints heard and our freedoms respected. In Paul's case, his right to Roman citizenship was a tool he used to avoid unjust treatment and gain legal defense. Yes, in contexts of persecution, using our civil rights may bring additional risks, such as intensifying persecution from those in power. However, even though exercising these rights may involve dangers, it is a fundamental way to defend our freedoms and ensure we are treated fairly under the law. Question 10. What serious accusations were made against Paul? The serious accusations made against Paul were promoting rebellions among the Jews throughout the inhabited land, being the leader of the sect of the Nazarenes, and having profaned the temple. These accusations were serious, as they could be punishable by death, as they involved a threat to public order and religion. Additional comments. The accusations against Paul, especially the one about promoting rebellions, reflect how his opponents used their influence to create a negative image of him. By labeling him as a plague and the leader of the Nazarenes, they attempted to link him to disorder and subversion. However, these accusations were baseless and part of a strategy to discredit him. Acts 24:5 mentions these exaggerated accusations, showing how religious fanaticism could distort the truth. The accusation of profaning the temple was very serious, as in Jewish culture the temple was the holiest place. The idea that Paul had defiled this place stirred fears among the Jews and gave them a reason to demand severe punishment. However, Acts 24:6 shows that this accusation was also unfounded, as there was no real evidence that Paul had done such a thing. This reflects how unsubstantiated accusations can be used to persecute those perceived as a threat. Questions 11 and 12. How did Paul defend himself? Paul defended himself by denying the accusations against him. He assured that he had not profaned the temple or promoted rebellions. He explained that he had been away from Jerusalem for many years and had returned to bring donations to the poor Christians. Furthermore, he stated that when he entered the temple, he was ceremonially clean and had always sought to maintain a clear conscience both before God and before men. Paul also defended his faith by recognizing that he followed the way, which his accusers called a sect, serving God according to the teachings of the law and the prophets. He stated that he believed in the resurrection of the righteous and the wicked, and challenged his accusers to point out what they had found him guilty of when he was before the Sanhedrin, except for having proclaimed his belief in the resurrection. Additional comments. Paul's defense highlights his rational approach and integrity, emphasizing his dedication to serving the poor Christians and his adherence to religious norms. By denying the accusations of profaning the temple, Paul shows that his conduct had always been in line with Jewish law, reinforcing his stance of innocence. In Acts 24:16, Paul emphasizes that he always sought to maintain a clear conscience, an important aspect of his defense before the authorities. By acknowledging that he followed the way of the Christian faith, Paul openly identifies with Christianity but also underscores his fidelity to the Jewish scriptures. His emphasis on the resurrection, shared by both him and many of his accusers, demonstrates that his beliefs were not foreign to Jewish tradition but part of the common hope in the resurrection of the dead, as mentioned in Acts 24. 15. This was key in his defense, as he sought to point out that the dispute was not about a heretical belief but a misunderstanding related to his faith. Comments from the box. Felix, Roman procurator of Judea. Felix was a former slave who became the governor of Judea because his brother, Paulus, had great influence over Emperor Claudius. This was unusual, as no former slave had ever held such power, like that of a governor with military authority. This shows how Felix used his new position to exercise power without restrictions. Felix was not a just governor. He used his power to commit abuses, such as mistreating people and engaging in immoral acts. He married Drusilla, a married woman, after seducing her, and his government was full of corruption. Furthermore, when handling Paul's case, he did so illegally, hoping to receive money in exchange for his decision. Finally, due to his misconduct, Emperor Nero recalled him to Rome in the year 58. Felix faced accusations of corruption and cruelty, but thanks to his brother, he was able to escape punishment. This shows that, despite his bad governance, Felix was still able to use his family connections to avoid the consequences of his actions. Well, these have been the practical answers regarding this week's congregation book study. I hope it is very helpful, my dear brothers and sisters. I send you a big hug, and may Jehovah bless and always protect you.